Hello and welcome to the 4Corners podcast. I'm Brad, joined as always by Matt and Shad. Gentlemen, how are you doing?
Yeah, I think I'm doing okay.
Fine. It's coming off a 3-day weekend is always like rough.
Well, and it's not blisteringly cold, so that's a nice change as well.
Yeah.
It was like a balmy like 53 is the high here. So
Put sunscreen on, Matt.
It's supposed to be in the 60s
I didn't.
tomorrow.
I've been like so cold for weeks at this point that it was like 53, and it's like it might as well have still been like 20 degrees. I felt I was still cold like all day long.
I feel left out. I'm the only one that doesn't have collar and elbow gear on today.
Well, I have mine because it's in the theme of All
Oh.
Japan's logo.
Talks amongst yourselves. I'll go get the celebratory one. Hold on a second.
Brad's gonna get the uniform on.
I used to have more collar and elbow stuff, but I feel like over time, like over years, it's I've worn it a lot, so it's kind of I've had to retire a couple, and
mine
they stopped
Go ahead.
making stuff, so they stopped making. I
New
think it
stuff.
still exists, but I don't think that they're putting out anything new or have for a long time.
Yeah, it's what happened after somebody bought them up, and now my stuff's held up pretty well, so I've been pretty happy with it. But yeah, look, I'm looking at their site right now, and there you go, Brad.
There, Matt.
I'm looking at their site right now, and everything is pre-existing designs, and the price is cranked way up too. So
Yeah, I feel like it's way more expensive than it used to be.
Yeah, I wonder if our coupon code still works, because we used to have a coupon code, and then I think once the changeover happened, we stopped getting any.
It worked after the changeover, but I quit buying stuff. Cause I'm looking at it, and what has happened is they have brought back some, like, they had some limited run designs that they did. Like, hang on, I'll call one here in just a second. They had the where'd you go? The Daphne Memorial shirt, and the Bobby Eaton and stuff like that they did a short run on so that they could take some of the some of the proceeds and send them to next of kin and that sort of stuff. Hey, just brought them back. Yeah, it's on Wrestle Merch Central now. So I guess they got bought up. And of course, that's going to go. That always goes super well.
I was aggravated because I was trying to find a Saya Kamatani shirt, and that is very difficult because they do not have any English shirts. Because I was doing some catching up this weekend.
Okay.
Trying to hit some. I'll talk about the one later. But so this week we're doing our match of the week. We kind of stuck in the All Japan region, but we're going to the 29th of July 1993, and this is Kenta Kobashi versus Stan Hansen. I think, I don't know, Matt might know better than me. I think 93 is like considered the best year. 93 or 94, I think, is considered like
I think
All Japan at its height.
Maybe 94. When was that really the classic like tag league final? Was that I think that was 94.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't think it was 95, but let me look this up. Real world.
Well, I was hoping I could find it easy, but
Things I don't know.
we're kind of slowly introducing Shad into. Oh, here it is. I'm looking right at it.
Like, I'm aware that they existed, like, and big names and that sort of stuff, but all of that stuff, especially when it came to what seems like internet prominence, was stuff that I just didn't have a way to access it. Uh, because it felt like that the big groundswell of support was while I was in college, and you know what happens when you're in college.
Yeah, it's hard to keep up with
I'm
stuff.
thinking the tag league final that I'm thinking of was a '95. It actually was '95 because that was when it was Kawada and Taue, the Holy Demon Army, against Kobashi and Misawa. 93, 94 both had Baba and Hansen teaming with each other.
That's an
What
interesting pair.
I don't think '94 had the final with Kawada Taue. I don't think that was '94.
what was the name for the Misawa Kobashi team?
I don't think they had one.
Was there one?
Yeah, I don't
Okay.
think they had one.
Well, okay. I ask because you got the to have the name that one has, and it's like surely to goodness, there's got to be something, right? But guess not.
It's hit and miss in Japan, and the Holy Demon Army was kind of like a stable too. Like they were kind of the big
Okay.
heel faction for a little bit. So this is kind of so this is like Shad's, I think, probably introduction to this era of All Japan. Like we've done some other stuff, like we've done some tags and stuff, but I think this is his first like hardcore mainline like talents for this era. So I'm gonna just ask straight away. You probably have preconceived notions of what you thought it was gonna be like. So how did this?
I very intentionally tried to go into this mentally blank slate. Like I was trying to go into this without. I mean, Stan Hansen's going to be in it, so Stan Hansen's going to do Stan Hansen things, and I liked Kobashi, so it's like, okay, what am I going to see Kobashi do Kobashi things? And I think this was Kobashi before he became like Kobashi, if that makes
This is
sense.
like him in the process because
Right.
you can kind of tell. Interestingly enough, I think you can kind of tell where he's at in his journey by how the match itself plays out. But so I guess my question is: so coming into this fresh, not knowing a lot about this era, what as a first impression, what did you think? Were you surprised by what you saw?
I was not as. It's the phrase I'm looking for here. The All Japan Kings Road style is something that has always made me wince and cringe because it's just like, you see the highlights and that sort of stuff, and I'm going like, oh, please don't, oh no, like, of course, the early 2000s. What do you see on message boards? You're like, oh, this is awesome, and you see like the Gonzo bomb happen, and you see, whoever's got the one of the two gifts for the burning hammer and that sort of stuff, and I'm always just like, oh,
Yeah.
but that's not what this one was. And the other thing that threw me about it was the way that this match was structured, because it was not structured in my understanding of what King's Road style was. Is this is not what that was structured as. And so I'm not saying it was bad, I'm just saying it's not what even trying to go in with a blank slate, it's not exactly what I thought was going to happen.
There was kind of a, I would say, a real like shoot fight element to it. Like it's kind of something you would see in a boxing match or a UFC in some ways.
There was some attitude in it, like some of that attitude. I don't want to say legit, but there was kind of some of that. Maybe they were portraying some spiteful attitude as part of it.
Yeah, because I would say the basic story of the match is Kobashi is obviously rising up. You can tell he's like an up and comer, and he might physically have an edge on Stan Hansen, but he doesn't have the experience or the tools to quite deal with him yet. And the idea of this match is him trying to just, I would say, dominate him physically and take him out quickly. And as the match progresses, it's kind of he's still in it, but he's fading it over time as Stan Hansen starts getting his shots in, and then he makes like a fatal error that costs him the match.
The story that I got out of it is similar, but not exactly the same. Is that here comes okay? Hansen has a reputation, right? He's burly, tough American who you don't want to let get ahead of steam and run you over. And so it's like
Literally.
Kobashi's trying, yeah, is trying to smother him early so that Hansen can't do that. He's trying to smother him in order to shut him down. But he's running into two problems. Number one, Hansen's just too tough for him to put away. Number two, Hansen is too cagey to just get beat on the whole time. And what ends up happening is that through just being tougher than old leather and more cunning than Kobashi gave him credit for, Kobashi got beat. Spoilers.
Well, yeah. Well, I think his problem was I think we're well. I would also say that Hansen made the better use of his spots where he could get shots in, but I think where Kabashi really screwed up is he turned his back on Hansen. That's what cost him the match.
So, one of the biggest things that I took away from watching this was that this was a great example of getting over in a loss. Because, you know, even the way that the match was structured, Kobashi was just all over him the whole time. And Hansen had a few spots where he was fighting up, and then there's Kobashi taking him back down again. Right up to the very end when the veteran cunning makes the difference. And okay, Kobashi got beat out of this, but when you get to the end game of this match, everybody's looking at it going, man, he almost, the story that you come away with is, man, he almost did it. He almost made it. And I mean, it's almost, but that's still getting over in the loss.
And really, when you think about it, Hansen had to use his finisher in an unconventional way to actually get that win.
Well, he had the opportunity for it.
Yeah.
He saw an opportunity to take a shot and he took it.
Yeah, so
Um,
the finish I think is really cool. So what happens is there's a point earlier in the match where Kabashi hits a moonsault, and then he gets a big body slam on Hansen, and he's going to go for it again, which is obviously a mistake, which Hansen recovers from, and they kind of are fighting on the turnbuckle, and Kabashi is like his face is out away from the ring. So Hansen's like headbutting him, and he's just kind of like, screw it, and he gives him the lariat on the top of the turnbuckle, and that's all she wrote pretty much. I want to say it's also the announcers aren't speaking English obviously, but their reaction to the lariat from the outside is just like awesome.
it's the UFC announcer meme where they're all
Yeah.
freaking out.
Yeah.
Matt, I'm sorry, we've been going full tilt and haven't given you an opening.
This was an interesting match to me, and I say that because I understand that Kobashi was kind of on the up, like he was being elevated, but I probably have never seen a Stan Hansen match where he like was almost getting dominated. Like Kobashi had control of probably like 85% of the match, 80 to 85%. Like he had control of the match, and he was really giving it to Hansen, and Hansen was really selling. Like he was beat down, and then he would have flurries where he would come back
And he was doing
and do some cool
Stan.
stuff.
He did some non Stan Hansen stuff that I thought kind of showed desperation. Like there's a point where he comes off the second rope with like kind of like an axe handle, and it's like, wow, I don't think I've seen Stan Hansen do that much.
At one point, he does like an enziguri.
Yeah.
He does some interesting, yeah. Uh, and I thought I liked the match. It's not my favorite by far match of Kobashi or Hansen, but it was interesting. I didn't I didn't like the finish as much. I mean, I understood it, but also, I guess to me, like, I mean, I'm so used to Hansen like hitting the lariat in the ring. And I did love that they protected it because it's like one lariat was all it took to put down Kobashi, and that's very true to Hansen because Hansen, like when he hits dudes in All Japan with the lariat, it's like you might if you took it took a shotgun and it loaded it in someone's face from like point blank range, it'd have about the same effect. That
Yeah.
Yeah.
lariat just like demolishes people, and I've seen him throw it on dudes from like he could throw it where he's just standing like 1 foot away, 2 feet away, where it's almost like the Okada doing it, or Jake Roberts like short arm DDT, short arm like clothesline leading up the DDT. It's like really short, but he like just it's sold really well. It was a very protective move. So I got that when he did it, it was like oh, that's the end, that's the finish. But I didn't think the camera's pretty close up, and he like does it, but I don't feel like he gets it good, and if he did some smoke and mirrors, maybe it'd look more. But he was like, the camera's right up close, and he catches them like right here, which I mean, again, you're protecting the move, you're selling it, but it wasn't he like did the whole like wrap around. It's just like kind of like
What?
hit him. So it's always like I'm not even like giving a lariat. I'm just kind of like almost like thumping you in the chest with my fist, and my forearm here, and Kabashi like drops back, and I know he's selling, but he also did this thing where it's like he drops back and he's pain, and then you see him like make his face go slack, and like he positions his arms like down like to the side, which it's like again you could sell like, oh, I'm like out, like unconscious or so stunned, but it took me slightly out of it, and I'm like, I could see you like change your face and position your arms like well, where it's just like you fell and like you're crumpled. Like it'd be a slight more believable if he like fell and like his arms are like this. He's just laying like this on his belly, like with his arms tucked like this. But when you like move and it's like I'm gonna perfectly position my arm straight, like it took me out a little bit. And otherwise,
Yeah.
All Japan, which is a very kind of serious, like really did present it almost like a real sport. Just two or more people just battling it out, throwing big heavy bombs, dropping each other on their heads. A lot of big meaty men slapping meat. Because Kobashi's a big guy.
Oh yeah,
He's a
he
really
is.
big guy. He
Yeah.
just looks smaller compared to Hansen. Although you could see like this is like Kobashi, probably not his prime in terms of like actual ring ability, but physical shape, he was fantastic. You see his arms, like he throws like a chin lock on Hansen. He just arms are just like bulging with muscle. He's just
Yeah.
like, and that kind of makes it believable. I know it's everything. We're long past kayfabe, but suspending disbelief. You have this big meaty arm like wrapped around a dude, his head like putting in a vice grip. Like it's believable to me that that would hurt
Mm-hmm.
because you look like you're trying to do a little nutcracker there with Stan Hansen's
I,
noggin as the nut, the
I
walnut.
think I see what you're saying about the lariat, but I think if like I'm thinking about this in like kayfabe terms, like if I was
Hmm.
Stan Hansen and I want this motherfucker off the turnbuckle, I think I might aim a little lower with the lariat because you want to get that chest area to really like jar him loose versus like where his head and his neck might not get him off. Because part of the reason he did it
Yeah.
is because he couldn't get Kabashi down.
Yeah, I mean, I'm making like minor quibbles. It was a good match. I would not. It's not a 5-star match in my
No,
opinion, but it's good.
it's probably hovering 3.5 to 4 area, I'd say.
Yeah, I'd give it 3.5. Maybe on second look, I give it a little more. I guess I also was thrown off because it's not what I was expecting. I was expecting Kobashi to basically like I said, almost dominate the match. I did like the story it told because they were going for a story, and that's kind of what I was talking about like last week, where in wrestling, like you don't need, community theater mid match. You don't need a bunch of promos. You don't need a bunch of like entrances to tell a match.
Yeah.
You can tell a story from beginning to end in a match, and oftentimes the way people react, or the way people sell, or what exactly you're doing in that ring, actually tells the story. And this was, of course, like Kobashi, like the up and comer, against a very, very talented, skilled, and dangerous veteran. So what does he do? He right out of the gate, he like attacks Hansen and doesn't let up on him.
Like
And
DDT on
so
the
when Hansen
floor,
is on
like
off,
real quick, and
oh yeah,
doesn't let up.
he's throwing everything in the toolbox. He's throwing at Hansen to keep him like on guard or off his feet, where he has the advantage. He's pressing the advantage, and Hansen I wouldn't quite call it hope spots, but he had limited
Opportunism.
uh yeah, limited parts where he was he he was actually in control before Kobashi would get the advantage again. But Hansen's so good, and he had a long time veteran at this point. But some of the things he did, I thought was really cool. Like you midway through the match, I actually had stopped and rewatched it because it was actually a lot smoother than I thought because it looked pretty good. But Kobashi like has Hansen down in the corner. He's like beating him, and Hansen's like leaning down. Then Hansen just like plops down on his butt in the turnbuckle, and so Kabashi's like attacking him, and then he goes running in to do a move like a kick, a knee strike, something like that, and Hansen like raises up and gets I think both boots up,
Yeah.
and like just like right at the right perfect moment, Kobashi just rams face first into the boots, and it was actually a really smooth, fluid movement, and it happened so quickly and perfectly timed that I had to rewatch it because I'm like, damn, that's perfectly timed, and Hansen moved for a big dude. Hansen is like what, like 300 pounds? He's a big dude,
Yeah.
big broad too, like
And he's
just
not a young man
built
at
like
this
a
point
fridge.
either.
No. Hansen
Probably
is in this
40s. I
one.
have to look it up.
He had been around since he'd
This
probably been around almost 20 years at this point because there's stuff in like the late
Yeah.
70s in Georgia with him in it.
this is Hansen in the face where it's like you walked in the bar and there's that big old farmer over there and you're getting a little too loud, and when he tells you to calm down, everybody goes, "Dude."
So
Right?
he was born in 49, so August 49.
So
So
he would
he
have
would have been
been
just
40.
shy of his 44th.
Yeah.
Just shy of his 44th birthday. Like a
You,
month shy.
it reminded me in execution and story. Obviously the roles are a little different, but it kind of reminded me of like what Suzume and Miyu were going for in the match we watched a couple weeks ago from this year. Kind
Oh,
of,
the up and comer taking it to the
and
veteran.
the kind of I can't exchange, like I have to stay hitting them, or because if I stand with them they're gonna beat me.
Yeah.
And I kind of, it was different how Mayu won, but it was kind of the same. Like Suzume lost when she finally had to like go toe to toe with her.
Yeah. That's a really good comparison, and I think that's why I used it highlights without me realizing it why I use the term smothered Hansen at the beginning, because when Kobashi gets on him, Hansen is not upright in that time. Kobashi's got him either down on a knee or down on the mat or down in the corner and just unloading on him so that he doesn't have to stand and trade with him. And just trying his best to eat him up, but the problem is that Stan Hansen's just he's too tough a cut of meat to chew up like that.
Yeah, I thought it was a lot of fun. Like I said, it wasn't quite what I expected, but I do like um I like these older matches, especially some of the All Japan ones, because I like that they weren't afraid. They didn't try to dumb it down for the audience. They went with what they were going to go for, and you were along for the ride. They didn't try to be like they do in WWE. It's like, well, we have to make sure everyone like understands it and scream out what we're doing during the match.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I worked in the ring with one guy who, what he would do is he didn't call his matches like everybody else did. What he would do is he would be jaw jacking with the crowd and then watch me do this or something like that. Or there was a great one where he went to go do a thing and the way I was laying, um, I was laying like against the bottom rope, and my head was kind of out, and he came to do a hip attack. Well, I'm just kind of laying there like that, and so it doesn't really connect. And everyone's like, he's missed, and he walks away, goes, I ain't gonna miss this time, and I'm like, okay. And so as he comes, I move, and it's, he would throw a negative in before he said what he was going to do if he was going to miss it, or he would just call what he was coming in for. And that worked because he was the only one doing it. But if everybody does that, then it's not like it's hard to crack that code.
Yeah. And it does give him kind of like a uniqueness to his style, but
Yeah.
I thought it'd be fun to, because you had mentioned that you thought you would be most into Kobashi, so I decided to throw a Kobashi match in there.
Well, and like I said, this one's not exactly Kobashi because I'm gonna guess that he was based was he using the burning lariat or the moonsault as a finish at this point?
The lariat, I think. I'd have to look back.
Okay. So we're not seeing other stuff that he innovated,
Yeah.
There's no I mean, I know Burning Hammer doesn't really count because he only did that like 7 times, but there's no Orange Crush in this. There's no power bomb in it or anything like that. So
Well, I think even if he was doing that stuff, the match did not call for that stuff either. So I
yeah,
think I think it would also show like smart deployment of offense.
hmm
This would be interesting to kind of weave in this discussion that's been on social media where I don't know how it started, but someone's was trying to puff up Seth Rollins, saying he was like this top WWE star of all time, and then Phil Schneider listed off 200 people that were better, and people were like incredulous about it. But it's an interesting comparison because like if Seth Rollins was doing this match, he would do all of his bullshit that wouldn't make sense for this match.
yeah. Well, okay. So how am I going to phrase this? Seth Rollins' normal move set has some very athletic stuff in it. The problem is that Seth Rollins basically has one match, and he just does that over and over again. And in my personal estimation, I value someone not only having variety in what they do, but adapting to what story they're telling in the match and what they choose to use or not. Um,
When
you know,
his offense is too convoluted to like change it up, because we've talked about this before. Like I'm gonna use them as comparisons just because like of their standing, but like if you look at Ric Flair, like Kenny Omega, and their offense, and why their matches are
mhm,
always so good is like they have very simplistic offenses. Like Kenny Omega, especially, like Kenny Omega doesn't do anything fancy, but his offense is very versatile, and so he
yeah.
can string his moves together in different ways. It allows him to incorporate his opponent in really well. Flair is like the same thing, but I would say how Flair does it differently is Flair has his match, but he builds his match around what his opponent does.
So Flair has the game plan of what he's looking to do. He's always looking for the figure four.
Yeah.
That's what he's building towards. So, yes, you're going to see, knee breakers. You're going to see chop blocks. You're going to see that sort of stuff because he's trying to get to the figure four. But the rest of the match has space around it. Kenny Omega stuff, he's got a fair amount of, striking built into his stuff. So you're going to see like, the double sledge. You're going to see the V trigger. You're going to see all this sort, that sort of thing. You're going to see, oh, what does he do into that moonsault off the second? It doesn't really matter.
Or
They
his little
have,
3/4 dragon suplex thing too.
oh, his Snapdragon, yeah.
Yeah.
They have their signatures, but the rest of the match is flexible and varies. Whereas Seth Rollins, I know I used the phrase before, but Seth Rollins is corporate indie.
Yeah,
He's
because
got complicated athletic spots, but he always does the same thing every time.
you have to.
And
Like His finisher's not flexible. His the Falcon Arrow thing he does every time, which I hate that move because everyone always kicks out, but you have to kind of do that in the same spot. Like his stuff is very like rigid.
Yeah.
Because even Cena, who's like less regarded as a worker, like Cena's stuff is simplistic. That's why like he had so many good pay per view matches because yeah, you can put Cena in a tables match, and his stuff works in that. Like Seth Rollins stuff doesn't like work, or you can put Cena in a cage, and he's fine because
So
his stuff works in a cage.
to give Cena credit, I'm sorry, Matt. I know we're going a lot and not giving you any room to get in, but let me do this one thought and then I'll shut up. Cena took a lesson. I don't know if he ever said this outright, but he took a lesson from Bret Hart. Bret Hart had his 5 moves that build to the sharpshooter, and he had those 5 moves because it was a signal that's like, hey, we're going towards the sharpshooter, and it would help the crowd get excited. Cena doing doing the 3 shoulder blocks, doing the fist drop, all that sort of like he's doing that. But if you have those 5 moves that build into it, you can move them around and shift them and put them in different places, or break up they start doing their sequence and you break it up. And then whenever you see them restart it, it's like, oh, we're going back towards it again. So Cena learned a very important lesson. Matt, I'm sorry, I give you some air now. You're muted.
You're muted, Matt.
Matt, you're muted. Yeah.
Sorry.
Don't worry, I've
It's
done it
okay.
before.
It's okay.
Sorry, I went off camera for like a second, so I forgot to mute myself back, turn the mic back on. But Cena, excuse me. I guess I should preface this by saying like his last year was not good.
No.
Booking was bad, but I mean he also like kind of
He was
phoned
washed.
it a little bit in, or
He was
yeah,
kinda
or he's washed. But people hated on Cena, and yeah, Cena's not as good of a worker as the people who were the ace, like the real ace right before him, like Austin, or even other people like Hart, obviously, which
Yeah,
is an
but
unfair
that's
comparison.
yeah,
Hart's
because well, even Austin is like underrated for how, like that's what people don't understand. We've talked about this before. Like, go watch Austin wrestle in like '92 and '93, and then watch him in
Mhm.
'97, like '98. Like Austin was wrestling that way because he was being held together by literal duct tape because of his neck injury, and he was still really good. Like
Yeah,
he
but
excelled
even
in that style.
he was still good. Yeah, he was still really good. Um, it's funny you say that because hold on one second. People actually they were talking about Austin, and it's like someone was making that comment. It's like, oh, Austin really was. And maybe this was like a part of the whole Seth discussion, but it's like people go like, oh, well, Austin like wasn't really that great. It's like, what the hell are you talking about? Or you're acting like he was only good when he became like main event WWE. It's like, no, he was good even in '92. And someone, I don't know if it was Rob Naylor or somebody, but they were like, well, look at his performance in 1992 War Games. Like, it's an almost perfect performance. And if you study him, like his everything, his selling, his offense, the story he told, like he's perfect. Like in '92, he was great, and he was in the business how many years at that point?
Um,
Maybe like 3.
3.
Yeah.
I think he started in '89 because he started in USWA Texas, I think.
Yeah. Austin
Yeah.
was fantastic from a very early part in his career, but Cena Cena was a good worker. I would actually say that. Now
He's better than he gets
I
credit
think
for.
he's better than he gets credit for. He gets knocks because a lot of what he did was the WWE main event style, and he was exceptionally good at that. But I always try to think like, was he a good worker otherwise if you took Cena in his prime and dumped him somewhere else where
He'd
he'd
been
have to do a
fine.
little more in the ring? Not just like the WWE main event style, which is now it's even worse than it was. Now it's
Oh
all,
yeah, it's way worse.
it's theater and a bunch of fuckery and let me run my entrance back during the
I
match and nonsense like that. But if you took Cena in like the aughts, and whatever, plopped him in like Ring of Honor, or New Japan, or someplace. Like, I actually think he would have been fine.
Yeah,
Like,
well,
because I actually think
you know how you know
it's a
he would have
better
been.
work than he's given credit for.
You know how you know he would have been fine is when, and I actually really liked the range he showed when he was doing the U.S. title thing, and he was kind of doing the well, I've lost a step, but I'm going to show you young pups I can do all your fancy shit just as well as you can, and he started doing like code reds and stuff to and like more
Mhm.
indie moves to show up the young guys because that was kind of the point of like I'm going to show you I've still
I'm
got
not
like
washed up.
yeah. And he did like do a lot of interesting stuff in that era. I think he would have been fine.
Oh yeah, I agree with you.
And he had too much professional
The,
pride to wilt in those
I mean,
situations.
what's the underpinning of the whole thing is we're talking about people who understood the psychology of getting the crowd excited. And I'm going to say I think that's a big part of why his heel run didn't work is that he hadn't been a heel for so long that he had effectively forgotten how to do it. Um,
It was
so you
mistimed
have
too.
like
I think if he had
yeah,
turned in the main event of WrestleMania, that would have given it a little more meat on the bone. Like
yeah,
I think where it would have worked is if you have the main event of Mania and Cody's just giving it to him, giving it to him, giving it to him, and you do one of those big moments a lot of times where the face decides not to cheat. And you have Cena doing that. Well, do I hit him with the belt because I really want this belt? But do I like compromise and he just says, "Ah, screw it," and he hits him in the face with it and
and
pins
he
him?
does it
Like,
anyway.
yeah, like I think that would have
Yeah,
worked, but they did it like in a weird spot, and then like it just
it
kind of
just didn't.
died. Yeah,
Yeah, but it's good psychology underlying all of it, and yeah, Seth Rollins as Tyler Black was Ring of Honor champion and stuff like that. But
and he failed there
look, the
too.
truth is, they're not. They don't want him doing that. They want him doing the approved stuff. You know, everything. I'm convinced that their matches are. I'm convinced that hardly anybody's calling it in the ring there at this point because there's such a control freak thing. You know, you hand me a script for my promo. There ain't no way they're not handing me a script for my match.
Yeah,
And so it ain't. I'm not. I'm sorry. I'm not buying it. Especially not over. Who were names I saw in there? It's not over Jerry Lawler,
yeah,
guy who whipped a crowd
Oh
into a
yeah.
frenzy by not actually having a weapon but acting like he did.
Yeah, look, I'm probably higher on Seth Rollins than a lot of people here because I think when he first started in the WWE, up to when he like turned heel with the Shield, uh, so like that first like 3 years, like I thought he was good. Was he great? I don't know if I'd say great, but he was good. Um,
I think the Shield in a lot
but
of
I think
ways
obviously,
were held together by Moxley, but they were kind of better than the sum of their parts in a lot of ways.
oh,
That
look, let's just as talk about the Shield. People like, especially Fed fans, love to debate like who the best member of the Shield is, and of course, like they rank either Roman or Seth high, and it's like it's Moxley. Moxley is the best of best of those three, and it really is not even close. He has lapped them probably at least 10 times by now, both of them,
And I would
probably
say
combined.
Roman's probably two, as much as I don't like Roman because Roman's actually been commercially successful with well Rollins has not.
I think in ring it's Rollins, even though I say like he's
Yeah,
at
but
his
I
very
think
best he was good, but he's fallen off because of, and I don't even say age and injuries. Like that's just the reality.
that
Beyond,
I hate to go Al Snow here though, because this is where I think Al Snow does have a point. Is why I would say Roman over Seth is because people actually give a shit about Roman now, and it took a
they
while,
they do
but
they
but Seth has tried for years with like 80 gajillion different gimmicks, and people still don't give a shit about him.
no, in that respect he he is definitely a failure. Yes. Um,
It's that
I
Seth.
I guess
It's not the Al Snowism. I'm sorry. I'll shut up, Matt. But It's
No,
it's the getting people involved. It's the psychology again.
Well, that's what I
I
think Al
guess,
Snow
yes.
means when he says that. He's being inflammatory about it, and people don't. I was just thinking about this the other day. I don't know why. I think you could have a conversation with Al Snow and get it like fleshed out better, but people will never engage with him in good faith about it. Instead
But
of
they
like,
don't argue the point that he's arguing.
yeah,
I'm sorry,
okay,
Matt.
I'll
I
shut
cut
up
you
now.
off. Please go ahead.
I get what you're saying. Um, and in many ways, yes, it makes sense. Like, well, Roman, people care about Roman. Roman is financially a success. He's a big deal. Uh, but I guess a part of me still is like, well, I do think being an actual in-ring talent matters. And so I'm probably gonna hold Seth above Roman in that regard because Roman at one point actually was at least good at the WWE main event style. And I feel like he's regressed massively from that.
He doesn't wrestle
So
enough now.
I'm gonna hold Rollins over that because again, if it's like, well, he pops an entrance or some merchandise sales, whatever like that, and it's like, well, then Yeet Man Jay Uso is way better than Seth because people react a lot more to his entrance and
Yeah,
he
but see
probably moves some merchandise, but
the
he's
difference there
absolutely
is
dog shit in the ring, like ridiculously dog shit in the ring.
the difference there though is, and where I would argue it's different, because people would bring that up. Where it's different with Jay though is no one gives a fuck about Jay outside of his entrance. Like they don't care during matches, they don't care during his promos, and I think that's the difference between like him and a Roman. I can't believe I'm actually defending Roman here, but Roman does like no, but like Roman does tend to keep people invested in matches. Like people care about his promos. Like he's not my cup of tea, but like it is different than Jay because Jay is an entrance merchant, and I would say Roman has regressed a lot, and I would agree. And I don't think he's the greatest in ring, but it's like I would kind of be like, well, yeah, he does keep people invested, which I think is like in and of itself like a talent.
So I'm going to put a different label on Jay's stuff, and I'm not going to say it's so much at the end. It's the audience participation portion of the show where they're encouraged to be part of it and they get to be part of the show and what's going on. So of course they want to do that. You don't go to you don't go to a ball game that you're excited for and not cheer and not be excited for stuff. So when you get to the you go to a UK game, what happens? And they go, whoa, and they go CATS, and you're doing the chant along with them. Well, whenever here comes Jay, it's like, oh, it's the audience participation portion. Oh, we get to be part of the show now. And is it clever to harness that? Sure. But if that's all you got, then when the audience participation portion is over, like you said, nobody cares.
He really fumbled
And
his opportunity last year.
you mean when he and his brother had a match and somehow
No,
laid an egg
I'm
on
talking about
WrestleMania?
I'm talking about last year where they gave him the world title and he did not try at all. Like Gunther couldn't even get a good match out of him.
Who was it that had I think it was Rich Krash that had the theory that it was we gave Jey Uso a run so people would stop asking us to give Jey Uso a run. It was
Yeah,
the okay, here you go, shut up about it thing.
because he gets pretty. Jay's interesting because for some reason like that's the one person like Fed fans are allowed to like break rank on and clown on now. But no,
I guess I hadn't seen it.
I get what Matt's saying though. Like Rollins is better in ring.
It's I guess Matt, I need to agree with you. Is that I'm not. It sounds like that I'm very much picking on him, and on one hand, I am, but then on the other hand, it's like we're talking about a guy who's regularly on TV, regularly on the upper end of the card, that sort of stuff. And so he's doing a lot of things right. It's just he's not going to be someone who breaks the echelon into that top tier.
He
He's in the all-time discussion, he's upper mid card.
if he wasn't one of the noses like guys, he would have not gotten some of these chances as much as he's like failed. Because Finn Balor, he injured Finn Balor, which they blamed Finn for, and he never got pushed ever, 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 ever again. But Seth Rollins is allowed to screw up like months upon months of planning by doing a stupid. What was he trying to do? Was he trying to headbutt Cody from like a
Oh
coast to
yeah, he did a
coast headbutt,
coast to coast diving headbutt.
and still out because of that?
Screwed up his shoulder.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe he's in the box. Was it
Hmm.
was there was a funny post. I don't remember if Matt sent it or not, but someone's like, "Yes, they're gonna open this next week, and a dead Chris Jericho is gonna fall out because they forgot to put air holes in the box."
That the rumor I saw really just a couple minutes ago, and I don't know, I think it's just people making things up, but is that it could be that's going to be how they bring Danhausen in. But I don't.
That
That's
I that
that's really.
that's a very terminally online thing because like I'm not trying to shit on Danhausen, but man, if you did that on WWTV, that would go over like a wet fart.
Mm.
Yeah, their audience is so singular in what they watch that you cannot count on them to recognize him having a surprise appearance like you could when Adam Cole pulled him out from under the ring thinking he had found something else. Like it they're not going to know who he is. Now, it's from something that I saw, I don't know, an hour ago. It's not going to be Chris Jericho. It's not believed to be Chris Jericho either.
Yeah,
But
I wonder what's going on there. Like I know they said they froze him out, but I wonder if he's even gonna come at this point.
if I saw someone else say it, I can't claim it's an original thought, but after after I would think that after Jericho saw what they did with John Cena's retirement run, he was like, "Oh, I am having second, third, fourth, and fifth thoughts about this now."
Well,
Like,
I think if I was
and
Jared,
because Triple H always hated him,
yeah,
and they screwed up something. They screwed up like the biggest draw in the company in the last 20 years. Like, what are they going to do to Chris Jericho?
I think though if you're
It's like,
Jericho, the waiting game would benefit you now because I don't think Triple H is gonna have this job much longer, especially the way Mania is going right now. And they're already like you're hearing the rumblings, which I am imagining are very carefully strategized leaks about how people aren't happy with the job he's doing.
Oh, and that was going back weeks ago, even before like it hasn't been Mania hasn't been selling well. When you heard leaks where some people were like, oh, people are a little concerned because Triple H he's not around as much. He's spending a lot of time like in the Trump White House, like trying to form connections to the Trump White, and it's like really weird, like
Very
yeah,
specific.
like yeah,
that
and
seems
it's like
specially crafted to come off
well,
very bad.
it's like TKO is very good about giving anti AEW other stories or stories that makes the WWE look good, disseminated out there to people. So like a story's trashing and like internally people are trashing Triple H is like that's interesting.
Well, for it to get out there, but then the God damn it, the specificity of it. Okay,
Specificity.
Yes, whatever. Um, that they particularly are calling out a behavior strategically, a behavior that is going to inflame like their fan base. I think is very interesting how they chose to approach that because it's all like, well, people are disappointed in him, and oh, like, well, we know how you guys are. Like, it involves Trump. wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Like, doesn't that piss you off? Like, that's what it seems
Meanwhile,
like to
like
me.
the parent company TKO is like jerking themselves off, like because they're like, oh yeah, that UFC pay-per-view or big show is on the lawn of the White House. It's happening. Like they are just announced that the last 2 days. It's like, yeah, it's done. It's a done deal. And it's like,
You know what's funny is WWE really wants that so bad, just like they want him to come to
Yeah.
to an event. It's like, no, it's like the UFC, because it's like, no, the UFC stuff is happening because he actually likes that stuff.
well,
And
remember
they don't have a competitor. Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
They had Cena's last match in Washington D.C. Not like when he went to Boston area where he's from. Like it was in Washington D.C. And I personally think they did that because they absolutely wanted Trump or the vice president or something to show up, and they did
yeah.
have people from the administration there. I think, but
Well, yeah. I
uh,
mean,
not like Trump.
well,
Trump or
yeah.
the vice president. Those people they would really want. And Trump could care less about, even though Trump has a WWE connection, he's in the Hall of Fame. Like,
Yeah, but I mean, I think that was like specifically like a New York thing. They had some arena things like with The Apprentice, like that was good promotion to like do the wrestling thing. And I mean, I think that was like a fun distraction sort of thing that he seemed to like enjoy. Because I know Austin talked about working with him, and like his hand was like, no, he's not going to do anything. And Austin's like, was just like, well, and then I think Austin just asked him, he's like, yeah, I'll do that. But the difference is that I don't think they've understood is like, yeah, the UFC stuff happens because he likes the UFC.
I was going to say it's UFC doesn't have a competitor, and they want it to be this manly display of something or other
Well,
because
they have
they
one.
want manliness by association. But it's it's mm, not going to go down that road. That
Well, I
could
think the problem is I don't know if it's coming from TK or it's like their little brother syndrome right now, but they keep trying to do this stuff that the UFC's doing. It's like, well, no, guys, you don't have the cultural penetration that the UFC does. Like the UFC is up there with like actual sports in their like cultural penetration. Like you're not going to duplicate that. You're still wrestling.
yeah. It's I believe it would be fair to say that they do not understand how their own demographics have changed because the folks that used to buy the Austin t-shirts because they said jackass on them and that sort of stuff are watching UFC now. And who's watching wrestling? I mean, who is with that? It's it's physical theater kids,
Yeah.
are a lot of, and that I'm not saying that as a bad thing. You got to understand it's not that it's bad, but it's different, and they don't have the cultural penetration that they used to.
And and
And
I've said it before is like, so yeah, you have all these lapsed fans there in the UFC, and I think they can get him back, but it's like, well, no, you like UFC is different than wrestling, but it's still like it scratches those wrestling itches enough that you don't. If you're super into UFC, like you're not going to come over to wrestling because UFC's already like
yeah,
scratching that itch enough.
if the legitimate competition is what, look, the legitimate competition violence thing is still, they're still trying to find more squeeze out of that particular fruit because that's where slap fight came from. And then I think, what is it, Australia, that has the two guys run at each other and slam into each other's sport now? Is it Australia or Britain?
oh, it's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
That's so stupid.
Is that like
They found
I don't
some
know.
way to be dumber than slap fight or slap
well?
challenge or
And then
whatever it is.
it's actually getting really popular. I can't watch it because they get too bloody, but bare knuckle boxing's kind of picking up steam. Um, which now so it is considered safer because without the gloves you're not going to punch someone in the head because you're going to bust your hand up, but oh man, like they get just diced to hell. in bare knuckle boxing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. But the people that are looking for that are not coming to wrestling for it
No,
because
they
that's
want,
not what
yeah.
they want competition. They want violent competition. That's what they want. And the cat's out of the bag. Everybody knows. And grumbling about it isn't going to change anything. Um, so the world's so different that now what do is you want to tell stuff that's engaging that has a physical aspect to it because
Yeah. Because you're just not going to do it.
it's never going to be perceived as real again.
I'll use a great example because it just happened today. The Ronda Rousey Gina Carano fight. That just announcing that it's already gotten more play and attention than anything like wrestling could like produce, and that shows you the cultural penetration that it has. Which I don't know how that's
It'll
gonna.
be good for one.
Well, I don't know
It'll
how
be
it's
good
gonna.
for one.
I don't know how it's gonna go because did that. When did that interview come out about her like if she gets punched in the face like she loses vision in her eye?
Last year.
Oof. I don't know.
Yeah.
Is that still like ongoing or is that just after? Because I was because I was kind of like,
I
well, she
don't
could
know.
be lying, and then I watched the Nunez fight, and I'm like, oh no, I can see how she's having trouble because
So
she got wrecked.
yeah, it could either be that that was a legitimate explanation of what happened, or it could be that she concocted a story to cover up why she just absolutely got rocked. It could be either one, but it does seem like a pretty. If it's true, then it makes a lot of sense, I guess.
Well, the thing is,
Um,
like, I know she's like a very prideful person, I wouldn't admit it, but like, there's nothing wrong with like just saying like, yeah, Amanda Nunez hits like a fucking truck. Because I don't know, did you watch that clip I posted of their fight? They're like,
yeah,
and I mean,
yeah,
it's hard to watch because Nunez is just like her fists. You can just see the weight and the power in her punches when she like lands them. Because I even said like, man, that ref probably should have stopped that about 2 punches ago. And he even
yeah,
still stepped in before she even went down. He was like, "Oh no, this isn't good."
yeah. It's
I miss Nunez. She was a fun. She was always a. She's still a fun watch, just because she wrecks people. Because she's one of those rare fighters, and you see it in boxing sometimes when even like a seasoned fighter gets hit by them, and they're like, "Oh shit, I've never been hit by like this before."
there's some folks that just they had their their strike game is so good if they that's their thing. What was it? I had an old roommate who was much more into UFC than I was, and he was. Bear in mind, this was 20 years ago. But he said something about Nate Diaz, and I said something because at the time I'd heard something ungood about Nate Diaz, and he goes, "Oh no." He goes, "No. Here's the thing about Nate Diaz." I said, He said he's a really good cutter, and I said, "You're gonna have to explain this to me, dude, because I ain't watching a lot." Apparently, his thing was that Diaz can win fights because Diaz is really good at doing hits that would cause cuts and stuff to split open. Therefore, he could win by ref stoppage. Okay, that's a there
That's
you
like
go.
a.
That's going to be a well. I mean, it's a strategy and it's a
That's an old.
specialty.
Well, I was gonna
Okay,
say
cool.
It's
that's an old ass boxing
It
strategy.
yeah.
is, but
And actually in the grand scheme of things, like that potentially is not as dangerous for your opponent. Because if you know how to hit a guy, and it isn't even going like to wrestling, they go, "Oh, dude, I lost the blade. You gotta bust me open hard way." It's like there are guys who do it. It's like you do it. I think even if you just maybe like raise a knuckle it's like a little
It's
bit or
right
something,
there,
and
man.
just yeah, like the thin skin, maybe right above the eye, whatever like that. You can do it in a way, and you're not necessarily going to concuss the dude doing it, but I mean, if you could figure out a way, it's like, okay,
Well,
I know
you
if I
can
punch the guy like right in the right spot, I cut
if
him like
you're
it's gonna re-rest off.
if
That's
you're
better than just like let me keep pounding this dude when he's like he's helpless.
if
You're gonna get the guy brain damage.
not everyone has the right elbow for it, but in UFC, like in MMA, if you have nice, like, kind of jagged elbows, you can really, like, you can catch someone with that. But I mean, but like you'd be stupid not to. If you cut your opponent, yeah, like you're gonna go after where you just popped them open. Like that would be dumb. Because why are you gonna take why are you gonna take the hard way and hurt yourself more to get the same result?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'll be
I mean,
interested.
it's a strategy, and Nunez's striking, like Liddell's striking, was a specialty and a strong point. So
Yeah, well, and Liddell's underrated because people don't understand part of why he was so successful is he was really hard to take down,
mhm.
and his
In an era when
you're more one
I hate
dimensional.
to say this, well, in an era where the quote unquote meta was takedown into ground game, Liddell was really hard to take down, and then when they could not. They, his striking game was so far beyond theirs that they were sunk.
Yeah. So I might check that out if they actually get to the fight, no one gets hurt. I might check it out. I think Rousey would probably win unless she's just totally like um totally shell
I don't.
shocked from the knockout.
I don't remember
Well,
what Carano's style was.
I don't remember either. She hasn't fought since like 2010. I think
2009.
yeah. I think she was kind of I looked at her fights and she won a couple by decision and then she won a couple by stoppage and a couple by KO, so you couldn't even tell by the results. So I think she might
I
have just
mean,
been kind of an all-arounder, but she also was in an era where there were like not that many good female fighters.
yeah, that she I think has like martial arts training, but
Yeah.
she was like still in that time when they didn't really like refine it.
Yeah.
Uh, so I would guess Rousey, but Rousey also like I remember the Nunez fight,
And what her
and
face looked like afterwards.
well, yeah, but her performance in the fight, and I am by no means an MMA expert at all. Like I don't watch it as much, but uh, my impression was like she didn't like what was going on there. I don't. It's almost like she didn't even want to do the fight, and she was just like she didn't seem like she really trained or put the effort in. Now Amanda Nunez is like one of the best, arguably the best female MMA star of all time. Like maybe you could say something like Chris Cyborg, like
Oh no, she
Nunez is.
Cyborg only lasted 3 seconds longer against Nunez, so
Yeah, I mean but Cyborg is really good. Like you could, she's in the if you want to list like who's the best. Nunez is probably the best, but I mean,
oh Nunez is the
even
best.
so, like it didn't seem like Rousey like put. I know it's like versus there's a difference between like, oh, I tried and you just were too good, you beat me down. You KO'd me in like a minute. Versus like I don't even think you look like you're trying
My
hard to me.
theory
Like
is
she almost seemed like the Holmes when she lost to Holly Holmes, that it almost seemed like that was like the end. It's like all of it left, all the fight left her.
I think what happened is I think she tried, but what happened is I think Nunez hit that first shot and she just lost all will like it just because like I don't think she's ever been hit by that because like I said I rewatched it and like I knew she got fucked up, but I was like, oh wow, those shots are bad. And I think so. I would assume Rousey, but the problem is, like, you do see it, like, where someone gets knocked out really bad and then they're just never the same again. And, like, I
Yeah.
know she wrestled, but that's still different.
So, in order to keep from getting pelted with with ads about stuff that I don't want to see. I used an incognito window to look up Carano's record, and she was 7 wins out of 8 fights, 3 by knockout, 1 by submission, 3 by decision. Trained in Muay Thai and Gaido Jitsu. So all around her seems like a good way of putting it.
Yeah, because she would have been in that era where all around was. So I
Yeah.
and so I don't know. I think Rousey probably wins, but it could be. It's gonna. I think it's gonna depend on what her physical condition's gonna be, because there are questions. Because like I said, like I could see her just not having a fight any fight in her after the KO.
It could happen, man. It's the brain is strange and we don't understand it. But
And she could also stupidly try to stand and punch with Carano, which I think would get her.
oh yeah, she'd be done.
Yeah. Because like I said, I looked down like, well, I think Carano could probably hit her pretty hard, considering she's knocked some people out.
Yeah.
But yeah. And then I also wanted to talk about. So I've been catching up on some Japanese wrestling, and this is something I kind of wanted to scratch Shad's brain about, since Shad worked and stuff. But so I watched it was way earlier this year. I think it was like the 2nd of January. It was Mayu Iwatani beating Takumi Iora for the GHC women's title, which I guess is a newer belt. So it was at a Marigold show, and they did this venue, and they got about half the people in New Japan put in it about 3 days later. So you watch this match, it's pretty good, but the arena is just pitch black, and you can tell they're hiding the crowd. But then the crowd, you can tell like the crowd's reacting, but they're either so dispersed in this arena or they're so far away from the ring that it's very muted. So then you have a match that's pretty good that is just killed by the presentation, like entirely.
Okay.
Because no crowd noise, the arena's dark, like just pitch black, and I think as being like a seasoned wrestling fan, when you see like a pitch black arena, you're like, oh, there's no one there.
So you can do it that way. Uh, you can do it when you're giving it like this old school big fight feel, when it's the light is directly overhead and you don't have the rest of the lights turned on. That can be a really cool presentation. But you also have to be aware that like if you're in the ring and doing that, you can't see the crowd either. That's so you don't know what is or isn't working. Um, so what I would say is you can do that as a stylistic choice. Cool. But if you're going to be doing that as a stylistic choice, you need to be pretty darn sure that the people watching are going to be invested. And if there's any question of that, I would recommend not doing it. Um, I will admit, I would rather have a hot, small crowd than a disinterested, large crowd.
The thing was,
I don't care how many people.
they were reacting, but like you couldn't hear them, and I think it was a
So
setup problem versus like a heat problem. It was like when we just watched Mystico versus Verno, and like the way they did the production, it drowned the crowd out, and we were like, I know the crowd's reacting and the crowd's very loud, but you can't hear them, and it hurt the
good,
match.
good wrestling needs to have. You need crowd involvement. It's part of. Okay, yeah, just for the sake of comparison, look at the difference between COVID era AEW stuff, where the other folks on the roster were being the crowd, and they were into it, and like they took their job very seriously, versus the WWE Thunderdome, and how soulless and lifeless that felt. Because there is a very, very important aspect of wrestling of the crowd's involvement. And because if you don't have them invested in what you're doing, obviously this isn't good, but they are part of they create an atmosphere that is part of a match, like a really, really big match. It's part of the reason that I say that like Mox versus Hangman at Y'all In was such a great match is because it had everybody in that whole stadium like pulled all the way into it, and they're not just invested in the match, they were invested in every twist and turn along the way, and they were vocal about it. You could have that same match in an empty gym somewhere and everybody would dump on it, rightfully so, because there's it almost it doesn't exactly, but it almost feels like there's no point to doing it in any of the big spots. So you have to have that kind of involvement. And if what you're postulating, Brad, about they had people there but they're spread out, my response would have been, hey, you've all been upgraded. Come on down here to ringside and we're going to take the lights and spread them out a little bit more so they show the floor. And now we've got the people who are invested that are close and not spread out, so the sound kind of compounds on itself.
Well, see, and I just watched after that because I'm catching up with my Stardom, but they were working a venue a couple weeks ago, and the venue was dark, but it was dark, but you could see the crowd.
Okay.
So you could tell like the crowd how big it was. They were just in the dark, whereas this was just like pitch black, like you could not see anything that wasn't the ring, which I think was really a mistake. But I don't. I'm just. I guess I just don't know what happened there, but like the crowd being so muted really damaged the match a lot.
Yeah, 100%. Well, because it doesn't feel important that way. It doesn't matter how good the match is. It doesn't feel important. If you've got people there and you can't hear them being excited about it, it doesn't feel important.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think people
It's
underrate it
I
sometimes.
I have a fonder spot in my heart for Austin and Colton Gunn than I do for their dad, because in those COVID era shows, they're the ones that are providing so much of the energy that encouraged the other folks at ringside to be involved. Like they understood the assignment in a big way. Um, so it's from what you're describing. God, I had matches. I remember I had a show working against Ron the Bounty Hunter in a building in summer where the air conditioning had gone out. And there were, if I was going to guess, like, there were not a lot of people there. There were probably this many paying fans there. And you know what happened in the course of that match was just we're out there, we're doing stuff, we're trying to get involved, and it sucks and nobody's doing anything. So I'm like, let's just get out of here. Flatliner, we're done. Like Flatliner, get us out of here. We go home. Because it just you don't want to be out there doing it. They don't care, so you don't care. Like it's awful.
That's what I would say. Like, I don't. When people get really mad at crowds for like chanting boring or stuff at the match, like, if I was working, I'd be like, I would rather that than silence because at least they care enough to shit on what I'm doing.
Because they want to see something. They're telling you they want to see something, even if they're not seeing it right now. Matt, I'm sorry, man. We're taking all the air out of the room and not giving you any
No, I
space
mean,
at all.
I felt it was. I didn't really have anything to add. I felt it was a good
Oh,
discussion
okay.
to the.
Yeah, it just was like it really created a disconnect where I'm like, well, this match is like good, but like I can't hear the crowd or see the crowd because even I think even if the crowd had been muted, but you could see them like doing stuff, like and could tell they were reacting because I think that's where the Mystico and the Averno match was different, where it's like, well, I can see the crowd and I can see that they're moving and like doing stuff. It's kind of like when you see especially modern WWE where they have it on YouTube and there's this big pop and it's like the crowd's not moving. Like literally like
There's
no one in
this big pop and it goes to the crowd shot and they're going,
I know. And you do see that in like the modern stuff, but yeah,
Yeah. Uh, and it is Vectron pointed out in chat. You see the crowd reacting stuff, and you can't hear anything. That's also weird. I would argue it's less bad, but yes, it is weird.
I I did a
Um,
venue once for Ring of Honor that had no AC and it was like 90 degrees out and like the crowd was into it, but there's nothing worse than being in a no AC venue with a bunch of wrestling fans.
oh
Actually,
God.
my worst experiences were at Ring of Honor shows because so that one happened at a Ring of Honor show, but then there was this other show. I swear the guy next to me weighed like 500 pounds and they were like folding chairs and he was next to me. So I spent Matt has the exact
Sorry, Matt.
reaction.
Your reaction.
No,
Your
he
reaction to
has
go. I know you
no
were coughing, but
no
it seemed like you were like.
no Matt no Matt. So I spent
Right
this
reaction.
I spent this show from like 7 p.m. to like 1 a.m. with half of this guy like not like sitting on me, but his fat was like on me.
Pressed up on you.
And I was like leaning like this with like half of him on me, and I was just sweating on that side. I'm like, I'm in hell. Like this sucks.
Yeah.
I've been to some shows that there have been some very large people there. I went to one indie show where it's like the stereotype, where there's some very heavy people. There's also people that personal hygiene was clearly a struggle.
Yeah, and the
Uh,
heavy people can be fine on like usually the heavy people aren't the ones that smell. Like it's usually other people.
I had a heavyset friend. I haven't spoken to this person in a long time. I had a heavyset friend. I haven't spoken to him in a long time, but they always smelled wonderful. They're
Yeah,
there was no odor, but there are some people. It's like it's very obvious that bathing at least on a daily basis is not it's not a
a
ritual they
priority.
engage in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or
So
weekly
there's
sometimes.
here's an example. Because I do Comic Con stuff. You can tell the difference between someone who, and it does, like, size doesn't really matter into it. I know people are going to evoke a certain image to it, but size doesn't matter into it. The people who are out there and they've been walking or standing around all day and that sort of stuff, and yes, they've taken care of their hygiene, they're wearing deodorant and stuff, but they've been out there and they've been doing enough that it's kind of overpowering it versus the
Hmm.
people who never bothered to try in the first place.
I,
And
I
Yeah,
was
I mean,
I
I've been
I worked blue collar
yeah,
back in the day, and there was one day I went in, and I think I they didn't have my brand, so I did a different one. And I was sitting there like, oh my god, I stink! Like my deodorant just like melted off, and like my lunch break came, and I ran to Walmart and got deodorant because I couldn't take it.
you gonna
But
say, Matt?
I mean, I've been to Comic Cons before too, and I'll cut some slack if it's like, you smell a little off, but you're wearing like some big heavy
yeah,
seem that you must be sweating for like the last like several hours. Like, gonna cut you some slack because you could literally douse yourself in deodorant, both like spray deodorant and just like
Yeah.
just bar deodorant, all of it. Like, if you're wearing also like a 50-pound suit, like heavy latex, plastic, rubber, I don't know. Like, I'll cut you some slack, but
I've
there's some people
never.
it's like you have no
Like
excuse.
my
Like,
Captain
you're
America
wearing a
suit.
t-shirt and shorts. Yeah.
Yeah. My Captain America suit looks great. That sucker is layered. I love it as my like fall and winter choice because hey, guess what? It's got enough layers it keeps me warm, but if I get too hot, I can kind of like move some stuff around and move some air in it, but there's layers to it. I'm not going to be fresh as a daisy in that. I was not going to be fresh as a daisy in like my Shazam suit or something like it. Okay, great. I was asked to go do a special event for preschool. There were a group of us asked to come to that as superheroes, right? Like specifically as superheroes. What I had at the time was I had my Shazam suit, which by the way is made out of vinyl. I
Ugh.
was there for an hour and a half. I could not get that damn thing off to change to come home So I drove home in it because that was going to be the better option. It was 95 degrees outside. And then for the amusing side to it is I text my wife, I'm on the way home. She goes, "Could you roll through Cane's and get us something?" And I went, "Sure." So I rolled up to the window at Cane's
I don't
and
think
they're like, "Hey, that'll be," and they look at me and go, and I went, "We got to eat too."
I I don't think I've ever I don't think I've ever like dealt with smelly people at like any of the conventions I've been to. Like now Magic, like if a comic store is doing like
Oh,
Friday Night Magic, that is pungent.
that's different.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's different. Just don't bother.
Yeah. And like there's been a couple people at comic shops over the years that have been like really stinky, but like conventions I've never run into that. Like I think there's been some like BO, but like again, well, there's a couple things with it for me. Is like the one I went to, Colossal Con, that's in Sandusky here, is in like
Mhm.
it's in a hotel, like with a water park. And that one you have to also consider like they sell like I think 40-ounce like mixed drinks that you can take around.
Hmm.
So the boozing is really like that's one where you get to Wednesday and there are just people passed out in the hallways by the end because they've been boozing for like 3 days. So you also have to like deal with
Yeah,
the well, there's cosplaying and there's a lot of drinking going on. So you kind of have to give them some slack on that.
yeah, but no, I've encountered it before, or someone who just has the same costume that they do for the entire thing.
You mean have
It's like,
their personal version of the Vader mask? That's actually a funny Michael Cole story. Is he said like his first day on the job, Vince is like, "You're hired now." Like the one thing everyone does here, and he handed the Vader mask, like, "Put this on," and he said he about died.
uh,
But I
the
get,
strap mask.
yeah, but I guess what Mick Foley said about that is like it was well, I guess his um well, the mask was leather, so I don't think he could wash that. But Too Cold Scorpio said his shit stank, and like he would make sure to like wash his gear and stuff when they were in Japan.
Yeah, he didn't wash his gear as often as the other guys did. I only had that one time. I was doing a fair show, and I went down, did the show, came home, took a shower, went to bed, went to work, came home, and I just had to grab my stuff and go. I didn't get a chance to wash it, and it was one of those times where I was changing gimmicks, so I only had the one set of gear that I could use for where I was, and because it hadn't come in yet. Um, yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. I like I said, wrestling's probably been the worst as far as like BO goes because I went to like back to back shows once. Like I went to one Saturday night and then there was one Sunday afternoon, and then like I was at work on Monday. I'm like, I feel like I am just like swimming in BO, and I've showered twice since then.
yeah.
Uh, but
You didn't wash the inside of your nose, Brad, is
no,
what the
that's true.
problem was.
It was like a general feeling of like it was just on you.
Okay, yeah. I have an uncle that lives in Iowa, and he was helping someone out on their farm, and I can't remember what he was helping with, but it was over by the pigsty, and one of the pigs did something, and he fell in. Now, the thing about a pigsty is, it's got to be wet because that's how they keep cool. He touched the bottom twice. He was fully submerged. Yeah, before they managed to get him out. Um, and he showered 3 times a day for a week, and it was just not like, yeah.
Yeah, my dog got skunked last year, and let me just have you guys ever like dealt with like freshly skunked animal or thing before? like fresh
No,
out of the skunk?
there's not really skunks where I live. I've smelled them before. Like my family is from Georgia, northern Georgia, and we smelled it before down there. And
I
it's
so
really rank smell, but
so
I've never actually had the experience of having an animal that smells
okay.
skunk.
So
Yeah, I haven't
so
either.
it's so if you've smelled one get that's gotten hit by on the side of the road, like times that by about 50 and you get like what fresh like your food for about a day will taste like skunk and like then it's actually hard to figure out what smells like skunk because you can't smell it anymore.
Yeah,
And then you
yeah,
like you could feel it because it's an oil. It's an oil too.
yeah. My wife's my wife's long COVID has permanently skewed her sense of smell. So for her, the smell of skunk smells like someone's been burning plastic.
Oh no, it
Like
smells
it
like that.
doesn't smell the same anymore.
It smells
No,
like that.
wait, it doesn't smell the same
Oh,
anymore. So it's
it
weird.
does smell like burning. I don't know. It's an unpleasant experience. I've had two dogs get sprayed, so I've dealt with it twice.
What was the most effective treatment for that?
Oh, it's there. You have to get a formula, and it is peroxide and baking soda with a little bit of soap detergent mixed in. Tomato juice doesn't work. So you, because you can literally, they'll still smell like it because you can't get it in their eyes or their mouth. So you like they're gonna smell it, but like you can literally like when you start scrubbing it, you can feel like the smell like you can literally feel the smell like come off of them.
Okay, it's getting that oil out.
And if you buy like pre-made stuff, it is like I think it's like 3 parts peroxide to 1 part baking soda with a little bit of um
Like
so
Dawn dish soap.
yep mixed in.
That makes sense.
And don't do it on your grass because I did that to the first dog and it killed all the grass. But yeah, that's how you get rid of it. But never have it happen. It's terrible. It's awful. So what do you guys think? I think it is an interesting conversation to have. So I did predict when we were kind of doing our goofy predictions. I kind of said I thought Triple H is going to get fired this year. So do you think? Do you think I think they'll sell out Mania. I think they'll sell it out. I do not think they will by hook or by crook get every seat in that arena filled. But do you think he's on the hot seat right now for how Mania is going with the leaks and like some of the rumblings we've heard?
I do. Uh, I don't know if they're at the point where they're gonna get rid of him now. If business is still is down, which I think it's going to be, then be like you said by the end of the year. I don't know. I think that he's set up to be like a fall guy. I personally, by the way, find it hilarious because I don't know if WWE did or TKO did, but I think the venue just offered like a discount on Mania seats. It's like buy one get one, the second one like 25% off. So the joke is that it's gonna be Reigns versus Punk. It's like wow, Punk's words came back to haunt him because he's literally going to be in the main event in night one of a 2 night extravaganza. Buy one get one, at least 25% off extravaganza. It's like yeah, he came back to haunt you, but I don't know. I could see things going further south for Triple H.
I think the business will get
Um,
worse because it's it's not going well now, and this is their popular part of the season. Like I don't like what is their past Mania for them?
They
uh,
haven't had a past Mania for years.
Rollins will return, but again, he's not at elite level,
And he's been beaten so
and
much.
I don't know. There's no one who could jump at this point from AEW that I could see moving the needle. I mean, who'd be the biggest name? Like Jericho?
Yeah,
In
but
theory,
he
could come back. Like he's not
maybe
going to move a needle.
no. Well, we might for a little. It would depend on what they did with him, but like, um, I don't know.
He's not going to turn things around.
Cause like,
Like he's
cause like Powerhouse Hobbs, they had him in the Rumble, and he had a dark match, I think.
Yeah, they're doing a just spectacularly awful job of making a sell to anybody who's on the fence about coming there.
And like,
Like the folks who it's their dream, they're going to get them anyway. But the folks who are
it's
like,
my
I don't know,
dream.
maybe, yeah,
It's
the
my
folks that are like, I
dream.
don't,
My
but like,
if
dream to
they're like,
be
ah,
back in
man,
WWE.
Matt, you keep saying that over and
but like,
you're killing me.
I don't even know how many. Like they did say that they think there's going to be some people going back and forth this year, but like Private Party was going to go and they just didn't. Like I don't know if there wasn't interest or like what happened there, but like they were for sure. We
I
thought they
I
were Fed bound, and now they're back in ROH. I think.
well, they were just on Dynamite as the wild card team. I think the reality, what I had heard, is just their contracts aren't up yet, and I also had heard that their contracts aren't up at the same time. Probably because one or both of them has been hurt before,
Yeah.
so that's like time that's added. So it could be a situation where it's like if one contract was done, then the other one maybe like another 6 months. So you saw how the Lucha Brothers fared when it's like you're not debuting them at the same time.
Well, I
One of
mean,
them got the short thrift, and Private Party. I'm sorry, like neither one of them individually is gonna light the world on fire.
mm-mm.
So you,
They're still too indie too. Like I think they would need. I mean, NXT isn't built for that, but like they really would need like a developmental promotion because they're still too indie. They
yeah,
need like
and that's
seasoned
unfortunate
out.
because they debuted it like when AEW started,
They beat
and
the
we're going
Bucks
on
in
like
the
that's
tag
like 6 years.
tournament.
Yeah, that's 6 years ago at this point,
Yeah.
and they haven't arguably really improved or mildly improved, maybe, but it's been 6 years. So
Yeah.
If if it was me in some position of authority, I believe um, that I would probably say to them, "Look, guys, if you're not booked on here right now, I want to encourage you to take indie bookings and go out and do some stuff, try some new stuff, see how it works. Stop doing the silly string for God's sake." But get out there now. While they were out, we also don't know what necessarily they were gone for more than a year, and it might have been because I remember the story that Tony Khan offered to pay for their college if they wanted to take college classes while they were there. He offered to pay for that for them, um, and I don't know. Maybe in that downtime they were doing some of that. I can't swear to it, but it's like, hey, that might explain why we didn't hear about them doing anything at all. They when they came back, they were not as rusty as I would have thought they would have been for not being in the ring for more than a year. So I don't know. I had been sitting around trying to ponder on who I thought um, big name attempted jumps might be, and I can tell you a name that had stuck in my head, but I also the name stuck in my head as someone who I could see being dissatisfied and wanting to go do something somewhere else, but not being a good fit. I could see LA Knight being at the point where he's like, they ain't done a damn thing with me here. They keep they keep cutting my knees out. I want to try my hand somewhere else, but he's just not.
the the rumor I've heard is that a lot of potential big names, or what you might consider bigger names, like they may not be, their contract may not run out and they'd be free until later in 2026. Because I mean, we're only
Mhm.
like mid-February. I feel LA Knight may be one of them whose contract is up in 2026. He is someone I could see, and he's been around before WWE, so he's actually, I would say, a pretty decent worker. He's not a
He's the team with
Kenny
Brian Cage
Omega.
and NWA Hollywood in like around 2010. Before that,
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not. He was a former TNA champion. He's not what I feel is like. I'll say elite level. I don't mean like
he's
all
good
elite
enough.
wrestling, but I mean he's good enough. Like you could absolutely slot him if you're AEW. You could slot him into your like upper mid card. You could
Mhm.
even probably get he would get over maybe. You could probably even have him challenge for the world title if you need to. I don't know if you put the world title on him, but I mean, I do
I
think he
wouldn't.
probably. I do think he could get over, and he might surprise you.
Well, he's
I
he's good
mean,
at
right?
he's good at being like a lot of people shit on him for his work rate, but I think what people don't understand about him is he's good at being a star. Like he understands how to be a star,
Yeah,
which is like a
I
thing
will.
a lot of guys don't know how to do.
I'll flat out tell you, like I do think that they should have put the world title on him at least once,
At
and
least
you're
for
not
a
going to
couple
argue that they
days.
shouldn't when they had the world title on Damian Priest.
And Jey
Damian
Uso,
Priest for like several months.
I think like six
Yeah.
Jey
months.
Uso, Jey Uso, you could argue some parts of him are over with just the entrance, maybe, but like he was parts of him or his
Yeah.
presentation are very over. Like Damian Priest, like again, former world champion, and not like 10 years ago, like in the last like couple years, and no one cares about him anymore.
Yeah.
Like
Nobody
Well,
cares.
then no one cared
or
about
they
him when he
arguably
was.
didn't care about him then. Yeah,
I would say he damaged that belt a lot because I think Seth had kind of I'll give him a little bit of credit. I thought he built it up a little bit, but that belt has the stink of it's been on geeks, and that's Damian Priest
yeah,
and Jey Uso.
There's there it bothers me because LA Knight was one guy that they had that proved that he's got the ability. I'm gonna sneeze. Hang on. Sorry. He proved he's got the ability to get himself over, to carry himself like a big deal, and to get people to buy into it. But I'm also convinced that they are either hamstringing his promos or they've started trying to give him scripts because what was it they had him call Logan Paul a basic broccoli haired bitch on TV the other night, and it's like, this is a guy who his insults really sounded a lot more creative than that. But okay, let's say that he was someone you were looking at getting for AEW. I think that he could, he's been around, he's done a lot, he's been over in a lot of places. Um, he's probably someone who could really teach some of the younger guys a
Yeah,
lot.
he's the
Um,
guy. He's a guy. Well, WWE kind of fucked that relationship up. I think in like previous years, if I was AEW with him, I'd be like, hey. Can you go over to TNA and do like 6 months and kind of get that stink of WWE off of you, and then we can debut you? Like I think that's where they were Impact at the time, but that's like where Impact had kind of found their niche was where you could go and get that stink off of you and get either back to WWE or AEW. And I think if they weren't if they weren't just pretty much a sock puppet for WWE right now, I'd probably be like, hey, even like I might even go to TNA and be like, hey, use him for 6 months and I'll just pay for him.
um, Part of the reason, look, I liked him as Eli Drake, and it's really annoyed me to see him not be pushed as over as he got. But one of my favorite stories I've heard recently about fan interaction is that he was either going to or had just left a show. He's at a gas station, and this dude's sitting there in his buddy's car, and he went to the show with his buddy, and his buddy had his kid with him, and he's sitting in the car while his buddy's pumping gas, and he sees Knight like pull up and put some gas in his car, and he's going into the store for something, and the guy's like, holy crap. And the guy, his buddy's like, what? And he's like, that was Knight. And he goes, was it really? He goes, yeah, just be cool, be cool. But then his kid noticed, and whenever Knight came back out, like the kid starts yelling, and he's all excited. And so LA Knight looks at him, he talks to him for a minute, takes a picture, then takes his LA Knight shirt off and gives it to the kid and hops in the car and drives away shirtless. And it's like, look, that's fan, that's quality fan interaction stuff, But okay, that's enough about him.
I always loved the old timey stuff because Kamala would talk about how when he was in Mid South, heels weren't supposed to sign autographs and stuff if they were out in public. And he said, "Oh yeah, if people just came up to me, I'd just act like I didn't understand English." And I thought that's a really creative way to like decline without causing
Mhm.
issue.
Mm-hmm.
And then Nikolai Volkov would complain like if he and Sheik were like in an airport, like they'd almost miss the plane because Sheik wouldn't like turn anyone down that
Yeah.
wanted like an autograph, and Sheik would like get mad at him if he was trying to hurry him up.
If I was gonna guess another person who might jump off the WWE roster, because I want to have two, I guess, because and I'm saying this guy for a couple of reasons. One of them is he's been a good work rate guy, and the other reason was they hoodooed him before. But it would not surprise me to see if Chad Gable was one of them.
Yeah, I could see that. But he just resigned. I think he's got a while to go because that just came up.
Oh yeah.
I don't know how
Recently.
long ago he re-signed, but
2
I know
years
they were like,
maybe.
"Oh yeah, here's the Intercontinental Belt, re-sign," and then proceeded to
You,
not.
I think he resigned like last year, so we're
yeah.
probably coming up on
Was that
1
what it
year.
was? Okay.
You know who I
And
think,
I it's probably at least a 3-year deal, so I would
Okay.
you know who I think it could be because I've heard there's been some rumblings that they're discontented. Um, and they are the wrong shade of color to be in WWE right now, but Street Profits, I think, could.
I think Street Profits are yeah.
Because there's been some
Yeah.
rumblings the last couple months about them being upset.
Would not surprise me.
I mean there's always a lot of hype about Montez Ford maybe being the breakout. And then some people are like, well, Montez Ford wouldn't leave in part because he would bring Angelo Dawkins. But it's like, look, Tony Khan would probably sign both because I mean, it doesn't hurt to have an extra body.
And tag teams mean more there.
They do. I could see another reason why is like Bianca Belair, who Montez is actually married to. Like she's, I don't think gonna go anywhere.
She's been gone for months though.
She allegedly just had finger surgery like Sunday. So she's been gone a long time. She's someone who she should leave.
Yeah.
Like she'd probably fare better.
Yeah.
A name that I had heard that allegedly her contract may be ending at the end of the year is Bailey, but I'm like, anyone who basically wants Bailey in the WWE in AEW, sorry, she's washed. I mean, that people have to come to that grips like with that knee injury, like basically ended her at the level that she was.
It wasn't recently, but it was a couple years after that where she was like, my knee still hurts.
Yeah, I feel like the knee injury was it. It was the dividing line. I feel like she's not been as good since. But beyond that, she's like a younger version of Natalie. It's like you're talking about someone who really is like they're a Fed strongest soldier. Like she's not like Mercedes Moné. She doesn't have it in her to go wrestle everywhere around the world or all the indies or whatever.
I think for her too, if she was, I think with her, I think the deciding factor too is the fact that she's pretty much washed. I hate to say that because I like her a lot, but like I think if she was still like if she hadn't had that injury and she was still like in a better place physically, I could see her going. But I think I could see her just being like, look, I can't hang in these other promotions anymore.
Maybe she kicked the tires, but But just like last year, like in the last few weeks, she held like this big seminar which she called Lodestone, and at the time, a lot of accounts were like, "This is." She's trying to sell this as like this is just some independent wrestling seminar I'm hosting. Here it is, like a few weeks later after it, like everyone who attended for her, oh, they're getting a WWE tryout, and it's like, because that's what this was.
Yeah.
Like that's what I said, strongest soldier. Like she wants to be a Natalia, where she's, that's probably what her goal is. Her goal is like, I am physically, I can't go as much, so I'm gonna transition into like being a coach, behind the scenes, things like that. And yeah, I mean, that's what you want, but people are like, oh, like her Mercedes and AEW. It's like, I don't see it happening. It probably shouldn't happen, because
Yeah.
if she's very much getting in bed with WWE, or has that mentality, because it's a mentality that at the end of the day, you see like Punk actually always had, where it's like WWE is the gold standard, everyone else is an inferior quality product, which it's like that's actually not true of pretty much everything that everyone else does. WWE is good with production values,
No, their production's
and
not
they're good
even
with
that
some
good. Like I don't
well, it
think
has historically been good.
no, their production, I would actually say like their TV show production has been bad for years because like when they were in the Kevin Dunn era, they were still doing like really outdated looking stuff. Um the only time I think their TV production really looked top notch was when they were on Fox because Fox was like calling the shots.
Yeah.
But like I think it got a little better under Triple H for a while, but it's starting to get like bad again. But I don't really think I wouldn't know who I don't know who I would say has good production value. I think CMLL does, but like I think that's kind of something everyone's lacking in because AEW's really hit and miss. Like I think their productions had points of being pretty good, but it's also been pretty like they've had some WCW esque moments here and there, far more than they should. So I wouldn't necessarily say like AEW's has been. I think they improved last year, but I think they were really good and then they hit this lull for a couple years where I don't think it was particularly good, and they've gotten a little better recently.
One thing that I think we can be relatively sure about is I don't think that I don't think MJF is going anywhere.
No,
God, him just roasting that one moron on Twitter repeatedly was
Oh,
oh
definitely
Raj.
Raj,
something. Yeah,
Raj, that's gonna need those dude wipes.
it was. That was honestly kind of pathetic on that dude's part.
The
Um,
Raj is like the thirstiest of simps for
yeah,
WWE.
uh, Alfred Kanua or something like is probably the most pathetic in my opinion. But Raj is up there. Raj posted something like the last day or two where it was like Nick Khan gave an interview like trash talking Tony Khan,
yeah,
and Raj like posted that. It's like, oh yeah, look, like Nick Khan has had to get under his skin, like he's had a diss, like, and it's like people had to tell him, hey dummy, this is like a year old interview. It's like comments he made literally like in early 2025,
yeah.
and he got kind of like embarrassed by that.
He gets
He
embarrassed a
frequently
lot.
embarrassed himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, he usually, and this is not a joke, like he usually, like, especially with WWE papers, whatever, he like gets very drunk. Cause he'll post photos like, oh look, I'm drinking, and he'll like post a bottle of like alcohol. Not like, oh, I'm having a beer. Like I'm drinking basically a handle of like bourbon. He just gets wasted, and so the joke is like, you're just a drunk who should be spending time with his family because he has like a wife, kids. Like
Yeah.
it's like like, dude, log off, spend time with your family, stop drinking, put the
Could
bottle
you
down.
like remember that guy that was like rage posting about AEW and quit and said it was like affecting his marriage? And it was just like I was just like I like okay, I know we do like a wrestling show and blah blah blah, but like the things that I actually like legitimately that I'm not like maybe playing up for the show, like most of the stuff we talk about in the show, like I complain about stuff and my frustrations with AEW are real, but like the shit that actually like I carry with me like on an hour to hour basis is nothing. Like if it's a bad dynamite or like with AEW being bad right now, I was like, meh, like I'm done for a while. And you know how much I've thought about AEW this year? Not at all, because I just go watch Stardom or All Japan or Noah. Like I just found something
I
else to
mean,
watch.
in defense of AEW, I do feel like their main event scene is actually very interesting right now.
Yeah, I agree with
Because
that.
I will say like I was very very down MJF as champion. I even said it. Uh, and they've kind of answered that by having like 5 or 6 dudes gunning for him, and it's actually
Mm.
been kind of compelling because some of the people there's like Hangman, Omega, like Swerve, like it's like okay, like that's kind of guys who've been in the main event scene, but then you have guys who it's like oh actually I wasn't thinking about this, but like Brody King
Yeah.
or Andrade, so it's like there's some fresh faces where it's like that's interesting, but I know
Mhm.
what you're saying. It's like there's if I don't like something, it's like all right, I won't watch it or I'll fast forward. Like AEW, it's like I will. There's stuff that I'm not interested in. Just gonna fast forward it. Like
Yeah, if Gabe Kidd shows up,
I
So
I'll get a good nap in.
I was going to say
yeah.
the thing that I had the conversation. Somebody asked me the other day. I think they said, "Okay, can you give in terms of presentation? What can you say? Why do you prefer AEW?" I said, "Okay, everything on WWE feels the same. It just feels everything feels the same. But if I go to AEW, then I get a variety of stuff to watch. And guess what? If they're doing a segment that I don't like, I go to the bathroom. I get something to drink. And when I come back, the next segment's going to have something different that I'm more likely to enjoy. So I can just walk away and be like, oh, hey, I'm just going off. Hey, it's a Hurt Syndicate segment. Ah, you know what? My
Well, I
my mug's empty. I'm gonna go get something, and I come back, and then hey, it's a jet speed match. I'm like, oh, okay, cool, let's do this.
I will say I wish Tony Khan like I wish he'd be consistent because I feel like he learns his lesson and then he unlearns his lesson. Like I'll use a great example of like Tony Khan like unlearning a lesson is signing the Iconics. Like that is a perfect example where I'm like, dude, this is something I thought we were past and you're doing it. And you know what? I'm gonna be just as pissed off when they sign Gargano and Candace.
I really hope he doesn't.
He's
I really
going
hope he
to.
doesn't. But he just Tony Khan just signed the Iconics to like a 3 or 4 year deal.
I know, it's so
It's like
stupid. Like
at this point, Gargano. Who am I to say that Gargano would be like a bad decision? Like there's worse decisions and he's made them.
oh, the Iconics were definitely a worse decision because
I'm
they've
not.
never been good, never.
They've never been good, and some people are like, oh well, like they're really funny. It's like
There's already there's
the
already
Iconics,
yeah. Well, and the other
them,
thing,
them.
well, and the other thing is like
I don't see it.
you just
It's not me. I'm not saying that.
well, and but the thing is like, but like okay, and this is a frustration. I don't know if we've talked about the women's tag team division much, but it's so fucking stupid. Like you already can't get a huge chunk of your roster on TV already. And then you add another division that requires double digits of women to be signed to fill it out.
I
So you just
I
watered
don't.
your
I
your
mean, I get
roster.
it.
I just
I
almost said
in
roster.
some
Waster.
ways I can see it makes sense because it's like, well, if you have women's tag titles, I can't get women on the thing. Might as well do tag titles. It's like, well, now instead of like just 2 women, I can have 4 women. It's like for a certain extent, like it does make sense. But you're right. Like you may have to like now add to the roster, and you can be value added because they were just in Australia for Collision. Was a Grand Slam
Yeah.
Australia and they actually, I mean, they did well. Like that, there was remember all that discourse last year about how, oh, they're using like an undersized ring or whatever. It's like
Yeah.
we literally will talk. We talked for days about the size of the ring, and people disingenuously trying to be like, oh, look how broke AEW is. They had to like they couldn't even ship a ring, and it's like, why would they ship a ring like across an ocean when they could just go to a local Australian indie and borrow their ring? You know, maybe have their guys do a dark match or something, or it's like, come on. But point is, they just did it, and quietly. Of course, you didn't have discourse about this. They got like 10,000 people in an arena. You know, oh, no one wanted to talk about that.
Yeah.
I guess we didn't. There wasn't
It,
ring discourse we could go with, but
oh,
uh,
Well, it's funny how
but
it's funny how like every time something goes away, we just don't talk about it anymore. Like when they started, their attendance went up. We stopped talking about their attendance. When their TV ratings are probably better than Raw's now, like we don't talk about it really. They talk
oh
about
yeah, I mean, we talked about
Collision. They talk about Collision, but they don't talk about Dynamite. What else did they? There was something else recently that we never talk about the pay-per-views. The pay-per-views never get talked about in like a
oh no,
business
even though
regard.
they're well, we've talked about them, and people online have talked about them because like Dave Meltzer is constant every AEW pay per view. It's like, oh, I think it barely over 100,000 guys, and it like consistently does 140,000 or more. By the way, I listened to I looked online and I saw he was doing like a live space on Twitter, which
mhm.
there was a video element, so maybe it was like broadcast elsewhere. But I saw that Andrew Zarian did like a live space, and so I watched it, and I think I came into it like late, but he said some interesting things, nothing groundbreaking. But one of the things he did say, which I thought was interesting, is that Max is hosting the pay-per-views now, as is other places like Amazon.
Yeah.
But according to what he knows, and he knows people like inside people,
Yeah.
including people from HBO Max, Warner Brothers Discovery, and what he's hearing is that every pay-per-view, AEW is gaining, at least on that platform, they're gaining more buyers on
Mm-hmm.
HBO Max. Now maybe it's like, oh, I was ordering it through my cable, or I was ordering it through like, Fightful or somebody, and now they're switching. But I guess everyone, and he's like, it's not like life changing. It's not like HBO Max. It's like, actually, it's not 140 buys. It's like 500,000 buys. It's not like that.
No, it's like
But imagine like,
every time we do it, they get 50 here, they get 300 on this one. Like, ooh, they got 1,000 extra on this one. Like, it's the trend. It's a trickle up.
Yeah.
it's a trend, but it's also like on HBO Max, it's growing. So
Well, I could see
let's
though,
say,
if I was to buy one, it would probably be on Max because it's like, well, that's where the shows are. So I kind of want all my shit in the same place.
I
It
I would
just
do it
makes it
Max or
easier to
Amazon.
get.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
But you can,
easier to get
Uh,
it that way.
but the thing is that it really hasn't been talked about because the first since they've been on Amazon, like Dave's always been off by about a similar amount, and it's the exact amount I think they're getting from Amazon because they're always every show by average was up like 5 to 10,000 last year, and I think that was exactly the difference Amazon made for them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, what a surprise! Like if you make it easy for people to buy your pay-per-view, people will buy your pay-per-view. At
You
least,
mean
at least a percentage of them.
you
Yeah.
you mean you don't want to put it on like an app where you were paying $10 for the pay-per-views and now you have to pay 30 and you might have to nuke your legacy Disney subscription and it's like a confusing mess because the plans aren't
Yeah,
consistent. And then that
Yeah.
same company that signed you is so fucking stupid they didn't have cable clearance for like you on like a bunch of massive systems. And then they're disappointed when you
Oh,
didn't draw a good number because it was obviously your fault that they didn't get on like Charter and all of those companies.
but also bear in mind the fact that they also put on like the worst card of the year for that
Yeah.
specific thing too.
Like,
By the way,
uh,
ESPN has found another way to screw it up because they don't have primary rights to MLB anymore. But for what they do have, they have changed it so now you can only get it through the ESPN Premium or whatever. So they've paid like someone pays like $200 for the season pass for whatever that is, But now they have to go and also pay $30 a month to get the ESPN Premium so that they can access the thing they already paid for.
Yeah.
Ah.
ESPN has like the opposite of the Midas touch. But like I hate to defend WWE, but like it really did like I did roll my eyes when they're like, well, ESPN's been disappointed with like the numbers WWE's been doing. It's like, you mean the bad numbers they're getting that you're primarily responsible for?
It's God. It's like we're in the worst cyberpunk future because we don't have any of the cool stuff to go with the corporate stranglehold on everything. Like, where's Haley's Comet coming in so that we
Yeah.
get like magic powers and people turn into dwarves and orcs and elves? Like, we're not getting any of that. We're just having companies trying to march their way towards AAA status.
Oh, and it's also funny like how you always hear like about how they're disappointed with WWE almost instantly, and UFC's done a couple of events on Paramount already. Haven't heard a word about
I was
anything
gonna
bad.
say, you're disappointed instantly, but not one of you ever had a conversation with someone over at Fox to be
I
like,
think
"Hey, how'd that go for you?"
I think they have. I think they're just good at selling themselves, honestly. But like I think the
Oh,
ESPN I think ESPN were particularly stupid though, because if it was me, like, and I was talking to WWE on a streaming platform, I'd be like, "No, I will pay more, but you're either giving me everything or I'm not doing it. Like you're giving me everything."
yeah.
Because we're not doing this. You're not going to then sneakily sneak in and take stuff away from me so you can make extra money. Like, no, I will pay double, but that means I get all the TV, all the pay per views, and you can't do anything else. And I want the back catalog.
Mm.
Like, I think that's what I would do, because it's like, no, we're not doing this like split up thing. Because I think it hurts their Netflix ratings to be on ESPN too.
Yeah.
Well, certainly for the pay-per-views. But isn't it that I think doesn't Netflix now like, aren't you supposed to be able to watch like the at least the old pay-per-views stuff like that?
I
I don't
think
know, I haven't
so.
checked.
I know they have a lot of stuff on YouTube. Like
I
they have their WCW channel and stuff, but I don't know how much they've actually put up on that yet.
They have a regular stream of stuff. I'm not going to say it's like fast, but they regularly add stuff to it. It just seems kind of random.
Yeah, it took them a while when they moved to Peacock. But yeah, I don't know. I just think splitting their programming up is gonna. Well, I think it is biting them in the ass right now. Um, I just think it's bad. Like I think we've learned from everything but the NFL, because the NFL is the NFL, and I think UFC is going to break this because UFC diminished the paywall quite a bit for theirs. So I think they'll be fine with going to streaming, because now you don't have to pay like $80 for a pay per view. You just have to pay a monthly fee. But like what we've seen from like the NBA and the NHL and MLB, when you go to streaming, it really hurts your visibility, because it loses that urgency to watch.
Hmm.
So
Well, I mean, the Dynamite and Collision simulcasts really works,
yeah, but
but
that's different though, because that's just more
yeah,
accessible.
yes, yes, that's what I'm saying. That really works, but the other stuff, it's like,
And I think they get people like us that maybe like, or like me, that it was trying to like figure out ways to keep like TNT on like some sort of like getting Sling or YouTube TV, that I didn't really want, but I wanted to watch AEW, and now I don't have to do that. So I think they're getting kind of those people too.
yeah. That was me. Is I was trying to find a way to make it work without having to add something else, and then they're like, oh yeah, we'll just do it on Max. I'm like, sold.
Yeah. So is there anything else we wanted to talk about? We kind of went here and there on some. I don't know. WWE is kind of a little fascinating right now. I think that's why we keep kind of coming back to it, because it's interesting to watch like the slow car crash unfolding.
I look, man. Here's the next layer to the car crash saw earlier today is the new partnership with Dude Wipes, which includes putting it on Dominic Mysterio's gear, which I am almost certain he's not getting paid extra for.
Yeah.
Oh no,
They are, and
he's
they're
not going to
telling
see
him
that
to put it
money.
on his gear. Yeah.
So, but like they might as well just get Manscaped to go along with their Dude Wipes.
To put it on somebody's trunks.
Well, I mean, we were joking about it. Then you looked it up and like the scents, and I'm like, those do not sound like appealing scents at all.
Yeah. Like when they did the Slim Jim thing and they had LA Knight be the face of it, like they did a whole bunch of stuff and he had his gear was like the colors of it and he was driving the car for it, but that was like a special production thing. This wasn't like NASCAR suit to the ring with sponsorship stuff all over it.
Well, my guess is they have a stake in this company. They might have like done a little like, hey, like let's invest in some of these like startups, and if one of them catches on, we'll make a bunch of money because like some corporations do throw a little money around that. So then it's easy to do a partnership because it's like, well, hey, if they advertise with us, we can benefit from. That's
Mhm.
kind of what I think because it. I guess I was just confused because that's too rinky dink for them usually. Like for a company that's used to having like Skittles and like
Well, they don't get like Skittles and stuff anymore.
oh,
So,
because of Netflix.
and I don't like they hadn't been drawing sponsors like that for a while, and now that they're slapping it on everything, they're getting some of them back. So I think Dude Wipes has been kind of like a growing brand because I guess they're kind of tapping into a segment that nobody's ever specifically tried to cater to before.
I thought someone had tried to
And
do the baby wipes, but we're not going to call them baby wipes so they're not as stigmatized.
well, but it's I mean they didn't pull it off, whereas Dude
Yeah,
Wipes have kind of
had
found
some.
a way to pull it off. Um, and so even if it's not a big segment, if they've got it cornered, they could be bigger than
Yeah, that's true.
we might think they are.
That's true. And there's some benefits to getting in early on that because then they might have loyalty to you and cut you breaks and stuff down the road. So I could see
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Well, I think that is going to be it for this week. Thank you, everyone, for joining us as always. YouTube was a little weird tonight, so this has been Matt, Shad, and Brad. Matt just died because he's sneezing. I think we all sneezed on air tonight.
Sneezing
Yeah.
horribly.
Yeah.
I just like mute myself and turn off and just had a sneeze attack. Yeah.
I was trying to mute whenever I said I was going to do it, and I missed the click. So my apologies on that one.
I annoy myself because sometimes I remember because for me I don't have to do as much. I can just click my sound wave off on OBS. Because Shad had a lot going on during the intro, so I just turned their audio off for the intro, and I'm like, okay, just got to remember to turn it back on when we come to the show. But yeah, I forget to do that sometimes because I think like, oh, I have to do the mic. Like, no, I can just turn it off in OBS.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
that is it for this week. Thank you for joining us as always, and we will catch you next time.